Hello and welcome again to the Complete Ager podcast, where every week we aim to educate and entertain our industry. I'm James Kendall. I'm joined by David Warburton and Ian Story, who are shaking their heads profusely at me because I can't talk. Lads, how's your week been?
Good to have you back. I'm not sure on the stats from last week, but I'm told it was the most downloaded episode in history, so you're lucky today, mate.
That's because people accidentally found it and thought they'd stumbled across the Phoenix Nights podcast.
It was the most downloaded podcast in the history of podcasts,
Yeah.
Like more than Huberman, anyone. So well done.
Knocking
Well
Stephen Bartlett off his top perch.
Yeah,
Yes.
at last.
Well, decent week, mate. Thank you. Plenty of vowels. One faller this week, which was disappointing, but we've seen it come in. And we're back to the market with that one. Hopefully we'll get it resold again, although it's a bit of a challenging one, like a Victorian property. A few sort of issues with it. And the vendors get all the reports done, full structural survey done, damp and timber report, all that sort of stuff for it on going after the buyer.
I think you need to get close to your mic, Dave. You sound like you're in a tin can.
Oh, really?
Have you heard Rob Brydon do his small one in a box?
Is that what it sounds like?
That's what you sound like.
Can be.
Hi, it's Dave.
Without eating this mic, I think I'm as close as I can be, honestly. I don't know what's going on. But
talk louder.
Talk louder.
Yeah.
I'll end up saying like you. An incredible barn conversion. I'll try. I think you're just getting me to put my microphone further up.
I'm FaceTiming your mum and you can just see forehead.
So anyway, yeah, it's been a good week, guys. I've been to plenty of valuations. I've picked up a couple of very nice instructions. Went to a really nice one last night, actually, which is, it sits in about half an acre, a barn conversion. You'd have loved it, Ian. And surrounding views, beautiful, up near Peel Tower near me. So that was a really lovely valuation, a very slow burner. I've got quite a few slow burners, and I'll be dead honest with you. There's, I've had so much traction from the letters that we send out regularly, and it's like you've talked about weeks and weeks ago, JK, that compound interest. You've just got to keep building up your client bank, and they'll just keep coming and coming and coming. So, yeah, been a good week for me overall.
Good. Yes, me too, I have to say. We've had a nice little run on new listings. I've had a couple that are a great example of long-term nurturing. So one that I took on this week offers over 6, nice sort of, fairly sort of standard run-of-the-mill detached family home, but it's got a big garden, quite a desirable spot near schools. And I first went there 2 years ago, and I had the number saved in my phone, as we spoke about on the pod the other week. So when she rang, I answered it and said, "Hi, Mike." And they couldn't believe that I'd answered it like that. That's coming on. Another one that I went to when I first started the company at the end of 20. Nice, it's called Moss Lane Farm near Knutsford. It's a lovely property with like 3 acres. They tried to sell it with another agent, failed last year, took it off, and we've been chatting again. That's coming on. A couple of good sales in the bag as well. Phil's had a really good month on new listings and a good amount of sales agreed. And I went to an absolute belter last night. Did I send you the photographs, chaps, that I took last night?
I don't know if you did, actually.
Beauty.
No, you did.
Beauty. They've seen another one that we've got on the market they want to buy. So I've sort of cajoled them politely into doing the photographs today, even though I went last night. And that's an absolutely lovely house. And then the client works for CBRE, the big insurance company. And I was to and fro with him at 6:30 this morning on WhatsApp over the fee. And he was asking, for a reduction on the fee, basically. And I pushed back 3 times and said no, with context around it. And he ended up saying that he really appreciated the fact that I've gone back and said no continuously on the fee. And he wants to go ahead. He really valued it, which is great feeling.
Yeah,
nice. You know you've got them once that, don't you? You know you've got them when they're working that hard to try and get your fee down.
Yeah.
It's quite. It almost has the opposite effect, doesn't it? They're kind of showing how much they really, really want to use you.
Yeah. That's right.
And therefore, it's always going to come on.
Yeah, you sort of know you've got it, but it's a great buzz in it. I was making my salad this morning and negotiating on a fee on WhatsApp at the same time. So it was a good start to the day.
Hang on, you were making a salad for breakfast?
No, I didn't say that. I said I was making my salad this morning.
I know, but I know you eat salad and grape. In fact, one podcast the other week, you had a 3-course meal while we were recording it.
As we're recording now, I've got prunes, cashews, peanuts, walnuts, Brazil nuts, a banana and a coffee. So good week, thanks, chaps. How about you, Kendall?
as you know, I've been laid up in bed, so COVID hit me hard, and luckily the team have been in my absence looking after things nicely. We've got so many on the bloody edge. We've got like, and they counted 5 properties, 1 million plus, all just on the edge, about to get like deals done, which will turn a really like average/poor month into an amazing month. But it's just time and getting those people when they can actually get in, when they can go back to see the houses, getting everything wrapped up. It's just frustrating, but it's all there and it's all about to tip over the edge. A couple of nice ones to launch as well. Launching a nice 2% at 850 today. Got another one at the weekend. I'm finishing a video on 900. Another one just said they're going to go ahead at 900 as well in one of the nice villages. So we're doing okay on instructions as well. We've got quite a few bits and pieces in the pipeline. And I'm just talking to a seller at the moment who's on at the moment with another agent. We went to originally, I said 850 to 9. They went on at 950. Awful marketing. And lo and behold, it hasn't sold. Kept in touch on WhatsApp, and they reduced the price last month, and they got professional photos done last month as well when they reduced the price. So that'll sell it. And lo and behold, 4 weeks later, they have not sold it. So we're chatting at the moment, and another nice one in the pipeline for us as well.
That's good news. How many times are you going to say "lo and behold" on this episode?
How many times are you going to say "welcome"? Incredible.
That's good though, mate. And obviously, we all have poor months, poor starts to months, and then suddenly it just flips, doesn't it? And then 3 days later, you've sold 6 houses.
Yeah,
crazy.
That's it. And the thing is, you just don't know. You just got to keep plugging away. Like if you're going through shit, just keep going. And if you keep putting the work in, it's going to come. There's no way that it won't come. It might take a little bit longer each time, but if you keep working, then the follow the process, and the proceeds will come.
Yeah. It always comes. It always comes around.
Yeah, that was cliche.
So this week's topic then. So you guys covered nicely client retention last week, and there was lots of bits and pieces you went through on that, which was loads of value. I enjoyed listening to you guys in bed. This week we're gonna don't look at me like that. This week we're going to be going over viewings, negotiation, and if we've got time, potentially sales progression. Everyone's got their own processes. Ian, I know you use viewing assistants. Dave, I know you use a bit of both. Who wants to go first? Don't jump on me.
Well, you go here.
No one can hear David this episode anyway, so I'll go first. This is our process for viewings. So this starts with our marketing plan that we present to clients on the Val. So one of our steps in the marketing plan is our viewing strategy. And I learned this from Mr. Power, and we've sort of refined it to our own method, really, as we've gone along. So our process for viewings is that we hold off for 10 days after we launch and try and block people together on the same day. So we've been doing this since the end of 2018, early 2019, since we started. So throughout that normal market of 2019, obviously everyone did it in the COVID years because they had to, because there were so many viewings, but now they've all dropped back to doing it the old fashioned way. So we're standing out again with how we do it. So we hold off with no viewing for 10 days, and then we arrange them all ideally on the same day. Of course, you sometimes get the odd person who can't do that, and you've got to get them in, especially if they're in a good proceedable position. But generally all on the same day. And then if they don't sell, if it doesn't sell on that first day, we still then try and block them together moving forward. In terms of who does the viewings, as you quite rightly said, JK, we use viewing specialists. So when we started the company, I did them all, of course. My dad, who is a lovely guy, retired teacher, lives near me. He's really good with people. He helped at the start as well, doing viewings for me. And he still does some now just because he enjoys it in his spare time. Dave has gone completely. No idea why.
Yeah.
So we use viewing specialists. Basically, we have a self-employed viewing specialists that we train that get to the property. If they've not been before, they get there early. So they've met the client, had a look around. We give them a copy of our property information questionnaire so that they can, they know the facts about the house that viewers ask that most agents can't answer. And then we book them together back to back. the viewings, that is. And, it's always nice to have a bit of overlap on the drive. I always say to the client, we want Mr. and Mrs. Jones to see Mr. and Mrs. Smith coming and going. And then if either party is interested, it helps to get a better price for the seller. And then the feedback for those viewings is picked up by the team the next working weekday. So typically our viewings are Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We do viewings 7 days a week. We do viewings in the evenings in the lighter months as well. Clients never do viewings on our houses, generally speaking. And then Monday is a very busy day because we're getting the feedback from over the weekend.
Let's just unpack that a little bit as well, just before you go any further. So do you ever get any pushback from the sellers that you're not doing the viewings yourself?
Me personally, very rarely. There's the odd listing I've put on where I've promised them that I'll do them. So probably only 2 or 3 properties in 5 years, but a nice higher end home where they've really bought into me, and it's a really nice house. And it's quite nice to go and do the viewing. So every now and then, but very rarely. No, very rarely do I get that. I mean, and I'll say that on the Val. I'll say to them, it's not me that does the viewings, and most of the time it's fine. And there's no perfect science here. We have had a couple of issues with viewing specialists, but we all have issues, don't we?
Yeah.
There's always issues with something in the process, whether it's someone on the team, whether it's you yourself being late. There's always, things can go wrong, but generally speaking, it works really well. And one of the things I really love is that they're self-employed, so they're not on the payroll. So there's no sick pay, holiday pay, and grievances, all that. They're self-employed. And they're basically on 0 hours contracts. So they sign a contract to confirm, that no NDA, basically. So they can't discuss anything with anyone else. And they're on a 0 hours contract. So they have, our software system is Rex, but it's soon to become Street. We're going to make the move over. And welcome. They have their diary. Come on, head of staff, if you're listening. Their diary, our Rex diary uploads onto their phone, our viewing specialist, so they can see their phone at home. They can see what we booked in for them. They come into the office. Up until recently, Vicky, bless her, who is an absolute diamond, has been getting all of their viewing details together for them. But I feel like it's a bit of a waste of Vicky's time. So we're going to go back to old school. I've got a 4-drawer Bisley filing cabinet coming. Can't wait. We're going to put all of the brochures in it, with viewing detail sheets in each one. The viewing specialist is going to come in, get the brochures, get the detail sheets, get the keys, and then leave. Bosh. So that's our process sort of the viewing itself before we get to the negotiation.
Okay. So I'll jump in then as well. And so in terms of our viewings, it's slightly differently. We do our own viewings. So I've got a couple of clients.
Before you start, can I say one last thing before you start, which is that sorry, mate, just to interrupt, just to round that off, the core team do some viewings as well. So
you Monday to Friday kind of thing.
Yeah, like Monday to Friday. If it's a one-off viewing, Vic or one of the other guys will jump out and do a viewing. So it's not always viewing specialists, but the bulk of them are.
Yeah, cool. Okay. So I mean, ours is all done by our team at the moment. Is viewing specialist is something that we're looking at following one of our conversations that we had, and also a topic that popped up in the Complete Agent Facebook group the other week as well. Got me thinking, when people were talking about Saturdays and teams and stuff, it got me thinking. And so our process is everything's done either. So, for example, I've got a couple of clients as like you in, where I've got specific vendors that want me to do the viewings, and it's okay, house is 2 million plus, fees good, you can make allowances for it, but in general I always say that it isn't going to be me necessarily that does the viewing, but it'll be one of these 3 people that does the viewings that are full-time basically. Our process is just to chuck a couple of bits in that I'm sure you do anyway, but just add a bit of meat on the bone. When we book the viewing, if there's a property that's obscure to find, well, quite often I'll add the people on WhatsApp first, or ask the guys to add people on WhatsApp and send them like Google Maps. So like where the property is, if it's hidden behind electric gates, some like mini directions. Because, it's all right if you're, showing the odd 4-bed detached on an estate to someone, that's quite easy to find. But if you've got like the old rectory that's hidden behind, electric gates on an estate, then it's sometimes I'll, if it's a property like that, I'll get detailed WhatsApp descriptions in terms of how to find the house, and write them like a brief part of how to find it. Because I think sometimes you can almost lose a sale on a viewing if you haven't prepped them kind of where to go, if that makes sense, like first.
Yeah.
So I generally tend to do that. But then also when we're the day before the viewing, they also get a text message from our system, and they also get on the day of the viewing a call from our office as well, just to say, just to remind you, you booked in for such and such. You probably had a text yesterday, just checking everything's okay for 11 o'clock with James at the old rectory. And people like that touch, especially if they're a viewer. Sometimes we have it, people forget. They go, oh yeah, sorry, forgot about that. Oh no, sorry, I can't make it. But B, the sellers like it as well. So when you message the seller in the morning and you say to the client, just to let you know, rang all the viewings that are happening today, everyone's confirmed, or so-and-so's dropped out. They just know, they like the fact that you're on the ball. And it sounds like it should be standard practice, but the amount of times, how many times do we hear it when we take over from other agents? Communication was lacking, and in all forms. Excuse me, I'm losing my voice. But yeah, the process, I suppose, is similar in the fact that it's me or one of the team, depending on who's looking after the house that does the viewing. We generally like to try and give some feedback on the WhatsApp group when we finish doing the viewing. So normally voice note. So if we're not seeing the seller, if they're not coming back, which to be honest is 90% of the time, we'll leave a voice note and just say, hi, Dave and Ian, really good viewings today, or these are the viewings that happened. Brief little breakdown of what happened. I think this person could be a contender. General feedback was this. House is locked up. Have a great weekend. We'll catch you Monday.
Yeah, it's interesting with that. You see, I understand that. And I've had a few clients over the years say to me, can you give me some sort of feedback on the day? I still stick to saying to them, there's no point in me giving you feedback today, because someone will say something and then tomorrow they'll have a completely different opinion. But the team, so the viewing specialists are all on the WhatsApp group. So when they leave, they say to the client, I've locked up and left.
Yeah.
And they're also on the WhatsApp group if they need to ask any supplementary questions that they haven't got the answers to. A couple of other things I've thought about as you've been speaking is that we always say to our viewing specialists not to park on the drive. So
yeah, 100%.
I would say, don't park on the drive, park down the road, out the way. Then obviously it's easy for viewers to get in and out.
Vendors' cars on the drive as well.
The seller's car should be gone completely, shouldn't they, every time?
Yeah.
And we, on some occasions, we've had some clients before they instruct us say, can I meet the viewing specialist before we go ahead? They want to know who it is that's going to be, showing people around their lovely house. Well, I think all that's valid. If we can hear Dave, it'd be nice to know if he's got anything to
Is
add.
it working, my microphone?
The man in a small box. Can you hear us?
Yeah. Is it still bad?
No, it's fine, mate. So for the listeners now, me and Ian will back away from the mic. So if you just put your ear next to the speaker, David Warburton is now going to grace us with his process.
It might not be as bad when this goes out as a recording. It might just be the live bit. So let's just give it a go.
David said it might not be that bad when it actually comes to the recording. We can hear you, mate. We can hear you just about.
Yeah, well, my process is very, very similar to yours. So I was kind of just nodding along then as you were going with it. I think as well, it's important. We all do the home staging side of things as well, and I think it's really important to reiterate to your vendors that they need to try and present the home in a similar fashion. I think on the actual day of the viewings, I think we've all probably had it where people have turned up and they've not really been in great shape. I know you've been struggling with one vendor at the moment, Ian, where you mentioned an issue with the smell of dog. We've got a similar property at the moment that's had so many viewings, and a lot of people are either failing to leave comprehensive feedback, or they're being dead polite, but it's really obvious because we know what the issues are. So having to delicately handle that. But giving honest feedback is obviously extremely important. Following every single viewing, because ultimately the people need to make changes if they need to. Same as you guys, the same touch points with the confirmation on the day, etc. On a mid-range brand, so I'm a little bit different at the moment. On a mid-range brand, I have viewing specialists that go out and do all viewings on that particular one. On the mid to higher end stuff, I do a lot of the viewings at the moment. I am smaller volume, higher fee, and although I do set the expectations that it might not always be me. A lot of the time it is, because I also like to meet a lot of these people, because there's a lot of high net worth individuals. They've got great houses themselves to sell, and often they know other people. And if they're getting a great experience, I think it's good that they can pass that on. So I think there's probably a debate to be had as to what the best way forward with that is. Without question, I think if you're looking to grow your business and get out of it rather than be in it, you definitely need to adopt viewing specialists and set the expectations from day one. 100%.
I couldn't agree more with you about you doing the viewing. So when I was starting the company, it was just me and Al. I mean, it was mainly me in the sort of going out doing appointments. I picked up tons of business from me doing the viewings. So categorically, in your early days, I mean, you can't normally afford to employ anyone anyway, can you normally at the start? So it has to be you, but it's a great way to pick up business, definitely.
It really is.
We're just at the point now where we obviously a bit more established.
Yeah, to be honest, we're similar. You know, my diary is just ridiculous, and some all the time I can't do it. But particularly if the client that's going to see it has got a great house to sell, or perhaps a high net worth individual, I think it's really important actually that you meet these people, because it can lead to so many other things. I picked up loads and loads of business, even if it's not directly off that person, just by being recommended by somebody who's viewed. So
can I just dive in there as well, guys, and just ask you the question and just say, if someone's listening to this and going, well, that sounds like a great idea, but what do I do in those situations? How are you flipping these people? What happens?
So I treat the viewing as a val, really. Obviously I don't discuss the valuation of their home, but I treat it in a way. I treat it as a val. So I'm talking to them as much about them and their plans and their property, and trying to create a relationship with them as I am talking about the house they're looking to buy. Because as we all know, you can't really sell a house to anyone. But you can build a good rapport with them, and you can talk about the features and stuff, but you can't really sell, can you, a house? They either like it or they don't like it.
Well, what I like to do is similar again along those lines. When I'm in the house, I would say, what does this house offer that your house doesn't have? What is it about this house that really, now you're here, what is it giving you that you haven't got already?
That's a good question.
And then they start thinking, oh, that's like you say, it's a good question. They'll start thinking, oh,
I think you've got to have 5 minutes at least with the client, building that bit of rapport. And I think even if it's a viewing specialist, they need to be taught that way as well. And you can ask some good questions that will lead into other things. And then you need to. I think if we think about the start of this mini series, how it's going back to auditing your own business and how you look and what you want to attract, the same applies obviously with your staff members. But I think a mistake that a lot of estate agents make, and I know this particularly around my area because the feedback you get we've got great viewing reps, and we get some really nice feedback about them. But when people are making that nice feedback, one of the reasons that they're making it is because they've had such a poor experience elsewhere, and they've just got people opening doors and letting them in, not knowing anything about the property. Perhaps in some instances won't even have a property information questionnaire, and can't answer simple questions like, where is the boiler? Is it leasehold or freehold? Has any improvements to the property been done? So they don't know anything about the property. And it's so important that you get the right person to do that, because in all likelihood, apart from you doing the valuation, well, in fact, no, forget the valuation. It's not even coming into the process. That the person that's viewing that property, that is the very first experience they're going to have with your company.
Yeah.
You'll have had somebody either book a viewing online or ring the office and maybe speak to people on the phone. So that experience has got to be good, and hopefully people are employing the right members of staff to handle that process. But if you just get somebody who is just a Saturday guy who's just getting paid to pass his time on the Saturday, and they're not actually doing a good job, they've not really got an interest in property, they are literally just turning up at the property, scruffy, dirty car, parking on driveways, doing all that, and then not having the information, not really showing an interest in the client, it's going to really leave a poor impression on that particular client. And of course, they're going to tell everybody else. So it's a really important position, the viewing representative. I think they've got to be personable, and it is a training as well. For me, again, when I view properties, it's really clear that people have not had training. They're just picking keys up. This
is a lounge. This is a kitchen.
Or just off you go. See you later. If you've got any questions, let me
Want
know.
to make an offer?
Yeah. Or worse, JK, they'll just say, yeah, so do you know whether this is freehold or leasehold? Or you'll have to speak to the office. I'm just here to show you, to let you in, kind of thing.
Yeah.
The worst experience. So I think that for initial 5 minutes, you can ask some really great questions like, how long have you been looking? What sort of boxes do you need to tick? Like, what areas are you looking at? Just show an interest in what they're actually trying to do. And then, all right, well, I'll feed this back to the office because we're always getting new stock on the market. Have you registered as a buyer? That kind of thing, because we can really help you. I want to have a look around the property. I've got a full property information questionnaire here. I've got answers to every question you can possibly think of. And what I don't know, I'll find out and get back to you. But,
I just thought of something as well, actually, when you said that about speaking to the office, about booking a viewing. I was going to mention it on last week's pod, but obviously I wasn't here. But I really, most downloaded pod ever. When you're actually speaking to people on the phone and booking them, a really good way of growing your social media following is asking people on the phone if they're following you on social media. Like when we book the viewing, again, I'm trying to drill this into the team, but I say it every time without fail. I always say to them, are you following us on social media? Because we launch a lot of the property videos and pictures before we launch them on Rightmove.
That is a great idea.
Make sure you follow us on social media at JK Estate Agents. And then people go, oh no, I'm not. It's at an Instagram or Facebook. And I'm like, well, it's on both, but follow each one. And then what you'll find is when you
just cutting in there, dead quick, JK, because it's a brilliant idea that. And here, obviously, you're moving on to street. You can obviously set templates up on street. So how cool would it be if we can set one up where as soon as your client executive, sales negotiator, whatever you want to call them, puts their phone down, there's a template SMS with a link to your Facebook page.
Yeah.
And they just go and follow you straight away.
On social media.
Yeah, great idea. I'm doing that.
There you go. I mentioned it on the phone as well. Like,
you mentioned that again about street, that template on street.
So when you book a viewing, so go on, you go.
Yeah, sorry. When you can make templates, so you can have obviously set templates that you can just send out really, really quickly. They're all for text messages and emails. So there's a specific text message or email that you send to clients regularly, and you see the guys typing that out every single time. Obviously, you don't want that. You need speed. So you can just set up a template. So going off what JK's just said, I think a great idea would be if the negotiator or the client executive was able to hang up the phone after saying follow us on social media, to then send them a text message as well. Just a reminder, nice speaking to you, just a reminder to follow us on social media, but it has the actual link within that text message.
Yeah,
so as soon as you book it, yeah, I'm going to do that.
The other good thing about that is if you guys have got pixels and stuff set up, you're putting active people in your local community that are looking for houses that have social media accounts into your social media ecosystem. And what social media is great at is learning about the people that you're already engaging with. And it will also learn, so they know that Joe Bloggs is looking for a house, and anyone that Joe Bloggs is connected with, it'll bring them into the ecosystem as well. So it's a really good, powerful thing. Slightly off topic, but it's. I just wanted to mention that last week, and I thought it was a really good idea.
Just another one quickly. I know Ian, you are switching over to street, and you said you're not a massive feedback. You're not a massive fan of feedback immediately.
Yeah.
But the street app does encourage it, and we never used to do that. But since we've been using street, we've implemented it, and I think it's a brilliant tool.
So, Dave, just to clarify that for people that are listening, because we had the call with Street last week. So the system auto sends a text, doesn't it, an hour after a viewing?
An email, yeah.
And an email asking for feedback. So we said to Street, can you customize that? You can't yet. Why? So obviously you're using that. What have you seen the benefits are from that?
Yeah, what I'm saying, so we getting that. That's great, and I think people just like the speed of text message, etc. I really hope people can hear me because you're making out that you can't. But maybe it's a good thing that people can't hear me. I don't know. But so it will obviously send the text messages out to them and emails, encouraging them to leave feedback, which I think is good anyway. It's another touch point from your company. What I'm actually referring to, which I think is a really nice touch as well, is that when a viewing representative does the viewing itself, they're using the Street app, and you basically have a tab that says Start Viewing, So I think if the viewing rep's good and they are building that little bit of rapport with the viewer in the actual room, they can add notes to the feedback. So how often do you get it where some people have done a viewing and the feedback will just be, seem to go well, we'll chase up on Monday or whatever. It's so much better if you say, it's a couple, they're moving over from the Midlands to be closer to family.
Yeah.
Their daughter starts school in September, so they're looking to move quite quick. They mentioned that they felt that the lounge was a bit small, but it's not a deal breaker.
Yeah.
They love the size of the garden. We'll follow up again on Monday. So when I go to my valuations as well, it's a nice game changer as well, because I'm saying to the client that you'll get initial feedback from the day of the viewing, which is basically a bit of rapport building from us and just getting a few notes. It also helps us, by the way, remember the viewers.
Yeah.
I think you can then go back because you can go into a bit of detail. But then I always say to them, but then we'll also get the considered feedback within 24 to 48 hours. So if they viewed it on a Saturday, you'll always usually get a text message from on the system in your street app saying this is what happened on the viewing. And then on Monday, this is the considered feedback. So I still think it's a really nice touch, but I agree what you're saying. Most people can't make decisions on the actual day.
No.
You don't want to get the hopes up of the owner saying, oh, brilliant, that was a really successful viewing. Because how many times have vendors done their own viewings and said, oh, it was amazing.
They loved it.
Yeah, they were talking about the kids, which rooms they're going in. Oh, we're definitely getting an offer tomorrow. And then you ring them back and say, no, it wasn't right for them. So it's how it's handled. But I think you've got to set the expectations right from day one, like you do with everything, really.
Yeah.
I'm going to say another little tip on a viewing as well. If you're that good and you're getting to the point where you think someone's going to invite you round theirs to value theirs, one of the questions I ask sometimes on a viewing, and if they're not on the market and they just started looking, I will just throw into conversation between, all right, so what sort of money do you think yours is worth? And then people go, oh, I don't know. We had it valued like before, and just shut up and let them talk, because then you've got a good gauge of what they're thinking. Because sometimes obviously we all know, Dave, valuation is subjective, but
very subjective.
But it's always good to know what they're thinking as well, because if they're thinking, theirs is 800 and you're thinking, well, I looked online and it was 650 before you went. And that's the other thing as well, prepping for a view. And if you're prepping for someone that's not on the market that you would like to get on the market, do your research before you do the viewing on their house. No, without it mentioned, don't tell them that. But, when you get there and, oh, you're in, so-and-so lane, aren't you? Oh, yeah, they're nice down there. There's a I remember that one, actually, that was up last year down there, 4-bed, and it drives conversation and confidence that the market, and it just gives you a kind of a leg up. So when you're talking to them in the house, they're practically asking you to come and see them rather than you pushing for the valuation, because you're the nice, knowledgeable guy that, knows their stuff and they should be talking to as well.
What are you doing? Do you have any leave behinds, guys? So I've got, so obviously we have certainly on the mid to higher end, the brochures are excellent, obviously. Do you have anything else? So I once saw something on our mid-range brand that somebody else was doing, which I quite liked, and it was it was like a postcard saying there's plenty more fish in the sea kind of thing, and it was basically talking about how if this property wasn't right for you, we get stuff all the time. You can perhaps register your details on here, give me a bit of advice, talking about financial services and things like that, just to hand out on the day.
I'd like to think though, like you'd already got all that info before you'd done the viewing.
Yeah, you do. It's just something extra there. Just another layer to give somebody that they're walking out the door. It's not something I've implemented, but just interested to see if there's anything else that you guys put out there.
We don't no, we don't do anything extra. One thing that I know some agents do is they have a little feedback card in the house that they fill out for the seller for when the seller gets back. Sort of, I suppose the modern version of that is the app on street, isn't it? But I've never done that. I really try to avoid giving feedback until they've slept on it. Because so many times you're just getting the hopes up. Because most, I'm really trying to avoid giving any sort of feedback. And every now and then a client will say, oh, I'm a bit pissed off Ian because I never get any sort of feedback from there. And I say, well, there's no point, John, because they'll say one thing and then the next day they'll say something completely different. So if I start saying to you, John, yeah, they liked the bedroom and they liked the view. If I say all that, you're going to think they're going to buy it. They're not going to buy it. That's going to get your hopes up. So I hear what everyone says about feedback on the day, but it'd take a lot of convincing for me to give positive feedback on the day.
Another good thing to ask as well, if you're doing viewings, just construct more for viewing assistants more than anything else, is ask people when they're viewing what else they're looking at and get the information of the other houses they're looking at. So when you are giving the feedback to the sellers on a Monday, you can say, well, they've viewed this one at 1.2, they've gone out there at 1.35, they've viewed this one at 1 million, they're looking at X, Y, and Z houses. So it also helps you so that, if you're in competition with any of these other houses, which, evidently you are if they're viewing the other houses, when you are talking about price feedback and doing your weekly updates, you can go, well, Steve and Anne viewed this house here, and this was their feedback. They viewed that one. Actually, they went actually and bought that house because they said it had X, Y, and Z.
Guys, I've just think, is my microphone better now?
Yes.
Why have you plugged it in?
It's been playing up, but I've just been messing around with the settings. So I'm guessing I'm probably going to be very quiet on the rest of the podcast. Is it all right now? Yeah. Is that much better?
Yeah, great.
Oh, for God's sake.
Well, we're 37 minutes in, so, better late than never.
Let's start again.
So should we play the intro again? Or we...
Ian, tell us about your finger.
Oh, yeah. Well, interesting news. I moved house last week, which is very stressful, isn't it? For those who don't know. We moved house, nearly got divorced 4 times, and we're now okay. But I was moving a box of toys with the kids into the garage, and my finger protector came off.
Oh, no.
The nurse said to me when she put it on, she said, don't be tempted to see if it's repaired itself, your finger, before the 6 weeks is up, because if you do and it doesn't, it'll never repair itself like for your entire life. Anyway, so this thing came off. So that again.
So obviously that's what you did. You took
the
it
first
off.
thing I did was just check. Yeah, I did that, and it's fine. I think it's healing.
Nice.
Does that mean you can play golf tomorrow?
No, I've got to keep it on for another 10 days.
Oh, never mind.
Hashtag pray for Ian.
You've still got me there for caddy and club selection.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to it, mate.
Right, so now we need to talk about, obviously, offers. So feedback. So someone wants to make an offer. Interested to hear your processes. Now, I'm happy to jump in and say that I like everyone to put everything in writing. So I say if someone wants to make an offer, I say that's great, but I want it in writing. So on IDs, proof of funds, where it's coming from, everything. Even if they haven't offered, the full amount or anything yet, or they haven't finished making their offer, let's just get it in writing and get. Because the thing is, the amount of times people have made offers in the past that I'm going back years ago now before we changed all this, but people have make an offer and go, yeah, I'll offer 1.25, and you go, all right, brilliant. Ring up John the seller. Good news, John. We've got an offer of 1.25. Oh, brilliant. Yeah, we'll take that. Go back, and they're like, yeah, I'll get that stuff over to you. And then it's like the stuff never comes over, and it's never an offer of 1.25. And I think that I'm going back a few years now, but it's real kind of naivety. But you'd be surprised at how many. Well, maybe you wouldn't, but how many agents that we speak to at times where there was just no level of detail for offers that have been made, where money's coming from. Is it subject to probate? Is it investment money? Can it be released immediately? If there's a first time buyer in the chain, and if there's a lifetime ISA that needs to be released, is money held in trust? Does somebody need to, there's so many different things that you could ask and go through, but without complicating the situation, send everything through to us in writing about your position, and then we can look to put it forward to the seller. But obviously try and set expectations. If they've offered 1.25 and a house is on offers, if they've offered 1.25 and a house is on the market at offers over 1.25, obviously you don't accept the first offer. So you'll always go back to them and say, well, look, it is offers over 1.25. Appreciate it's a good place to start. So once you've got everything to me in writing, then we can have a conversation with the seller and see where that goes.
Yeah, I'm happy to. I don't disagree with what you're saying in there, by the way. I mean, we obviously all offers get confirmed in writing anyway. But I take a verbal. I'm happy to take a verbal to start negotiations with the owners. And then obviously all the follow-up processes, we need you to confirm funds, etc. There are some of our vendors in the past, and I've got one at the moment, who is insistent on proof of funds before they actually view.
Yeah.
If it's at a certain level. Well. Yeah, so you're obviously going to get those situations, but Our process is usually just we'll take it on the mid-range brand. A lot of the time we get some using quite a few offers over strategies. You generally, the process can take care of itself a lot of the time, can't it? When you go into best and final offer scenarios, depending on what pricing strategy you've chosen. But ultimately, as the person that's put the house on the market, I will generally be the one to tie up the negotiations, certainly on the mid to higher end stuff. And as you said, JK, there, I think you alluded to it anyway. Never take the first offer, no matter what it is. Certainly on the phone, I think it's a great thing to say. It's a great offer, that. I don't think it's one that he's going to accept, but I can put it forward. Before I do that, is there any more in you, kind of thing? And this is where estate agents make the money. And I make a big thing of it on my valuations to say the old Tom Panos saying. I'm sure it's not Tom Panos's, but it's where I got it from. But he always says, if you think I'm expensive, if my fee's expensive, wait until you put a hot buyer in front of a crap estate agent and then see how expensive it is. And I think it's just a brilliant way to put it, because it's you're comparing apples and oranges when you're comparing cheap agents, and there's thousands and thousands, tens of thousands of pounds. Sometimes I remember you telling us another one, JK, hundreds of thousands of pounds sometimes in negotiation. The ability to negotiate. Again, when you're dealing and you're up against corporate estate agents, I've worked in a corporate environment where you've had to employ people, and one of the biggest pressures that you have is recruitment in those types of environments, and they're just putting bums on seats. So a lot of estate agents, in my opinion, have order takers. They don't have negotiators. What I mean by that is, somebody will ring up to make an offer. Hi, I just viewed one Acacia Avenue. I'd like to offer 8. They'll just take that and say, right, no problem, thanks. I'll come back to you. Go to the owner and say, hi, John, we've got an offer of 800,000. What do you think? And then go back to the buyer after he's rejected it. And then it's just a bit of back and forth. There's no real interaction and no sort of input from the person in the middle, which is ultimately your job. So
can I just say as well, mate, just on that, you made me think of something. Corporate days, absolutely spot on, by the way. But in my old corporate environment, you used to have the lister that would go out and win the business, a negotiator that would go out that knew nothing about the house or the person and their situation, doing the viewing and meeting the people that are making the offer, and then the person who would tie up the offer when it came in was the manager who hadn't met the viewer or hadn't met the seller. So they've got absolutely no clue about any emotional skin in the game, and any driver or pain points of buyer or seller. So absolutely right, mate. Sorry, God, I just wanted to jump in and say that.
No, you're absolutely right, and I think it's probably obviously the marketing. The way your agency looks, let's take it right back to the beginning. So the way your agency looks, and then your marketing will get people through the door, and then a great viewing experience, etc., will help you. But ultimately, once you're at the stage where somebody is making an offer, there is an enormous difference between a good estate agent and a bad estate agent when it comes to negotiating that price, and it's a really hard thing to get across in evaluation, obviously, because if you're dealing with somebody who hasn't used you before, or hasn't seen any of your reviews or seen any of your results, etc., a lot of the time they'll be thinking about, what's my house going to go on for, and what's the fee I'm going to pay. So demonstrating your ability to negotiate the best possible price is so important. Lots of social proof. I think lots of test cases showing what you've done is really, really important. I don't know about you fellas, but I think there's a few parts in the process that are very, very important that we've spoken about over the last few weeks. But when it comes down to it, if you're a crap negotiator, then you could potentially cost your client thousands.
And that's the thing, though. The clients, if they it's difficult because it's hard to articulate that on marketing and how well you can negotiate, because everyone's like, we will get you the best price. We will be open 8 days a week. We will be open 25 hours. Actually articulating that is difficult. But then equally, if you've got case studies, like a good exercise I like to use is with the brochures that we've from previous properties we've sold, put them on the table and show people examples of and tell them the stories of how it went. We negotiated 175 grand over the marketing price on this house. Just showing people where and how, the differences are made, because that is, like you say, marketing in general has leveled up since COVID.
Yeah.
Majority of people are using professional, or if not close to professional photography now. There is still the odd potato photo out there, but the majority of the stuff is, I never say that, do I? The majority of the photography out there is a half decent standard. But the thing is, sellers don't really get the opportunity to peel back the onion and see what actually is going on behind the professional photos. And communication and negotiation, they are two things that can absolutely make or absolutely kill a sale.
I think doing that is like, well, JK, in the valuation, demonstrating your previous results is really important, and I don't think a lot of people do it. I always show my last 5 sales, or 5 of my most recent really good ones where we've achieved very, very good results, and explain how that came to be. So we've had 2 very, very recently, actually. One where it had been on the market with 2 other agents for over 6 months, and they hadn't sold, but this particular one was offers over 600,000. We revamped all the marketing, which was obviously one of the things that really needed doing because there were massive holes in the marketing. Changed the experience for them. The communication was excellent. And then when it came to the offer process, we managed to get that up from 600 to 675,
Wow.
which it was way beyond our expectations. But the particular client that bought it, they were going to use it as a children's home. They were going to convert it into a children's home, so they could see the value in that. And often it's about finding the right buyer as well. That's why the marketing and doing video, etc., is so important. So speaking to them, I did the viewing on this one. I knew how much she wanted it from the conversations we were having there. They were sort of saying we've got 5 or 6 bedrooms here straight away where we can move them straight in. There's very few alterations we can make. So to them, it was worth doing because the return on their investment was huge. I had another one where that was also 600. That went for 650. And this one's a really good example that I always give to all valuations. So this was offers over 6. At the end of the viewing process, we had a good number of viewings over the first couple of weekends. We had 3 offers. We had an offer at 610, we had an offer at 611, and we had an offer at... So I feel that once that process had been done, if that had been in the hands of a corporate or an inexperienced agent, they'd have just gone, we've got you 625. And the vendor probably would have been really happy with that. But the one at 625 had a property to sell, and they really wanted it. I know that they really wanted it, and I felt I could get a bit more for my client. So I went to their house the same night to have a look at it to see if it was one that I could take on and sell. I was in their kitchen for a good 90 minutes talking about their house, and then we got onto the subject of the one that they were really interested in, and I knew that their house would sell in a heartbeat. And I said to them, guys, it's a good offer at 625, but I've got another 2 on the table. They don't know what numbers I've already got.
Yeah.
And they were best and final 610 and 611, so they were already way higher. I've got 2 other offers on the table. Yours is a great offer, but I need to get your house sold. I need a show-stopping offer tonight to make my vendor consider you. And they went, their exact words were, fuck it, 650, that's what we've got our AIP for. And I was like, right, great, let me put that forward to the client. And it's life-changing amounts of money. We're talking an extra 50 grand on the original asking price. And I just know that having that extra commitment there to go to that house that night, talk to them, get into the detail about what they're looking to try and achieve, was what sealed the deal. So it's a phenomenal result. It's a really great test case that I use in every single valuation to demonstrate my value as their negotiator. And I'm not bragging there. Well, kind of am.
Sounds like you are, mate.
Yeah, I am. That was such a great result, and I'd like you all to give me a round of applause. Thanks, mate. No, but what I'm trying to get at, the context is you've got to demonstrate your worth, demonstrate your value as their agent, particularly if you're going to be charging 2%, because yes, you need to get all your marketing right and do it consistently well every single time. And another USP is you on video, because nobody can replicate you personally. But when it comes to the negotiation, you've got to demonstrate your worth. And I think it's a really good point you made, JK. Test cases should be something you should be doing, in my opinion, on every single valuation.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. So I think we're 51 minutes in now. Are we... Anything else we want to cover off this week, or should we leave it till next week? sort of Q&A. We've got two
I don't think
questions that
so.
come
The
in.
next step is obviously sales progression, isn't it? But it's not one that it's
I don't
Go
think we
on.
need to do our pod on sales progression, do we?
no.
You've not asked
Q&A
me.
that.
You haven't asked me what my negotiation process is.
No one cares.
Yeah, I know. So we want to.
Go on, Story.
So we just say, thanks for the offer. We'll ring the vendor. We'll ring you back.
Fantastic. Great news. You heard it here first, everyone.
No, seriously, have you got stuff to add, Ian? 'Cause,
Yeah, I have definitely always got stuff to add, Dave. Always got stuff to add.
You're not a bad negotiator.
So the way we play it in stories is all the offers are handled by me or Phil. So whoever lists the house negotiates the sale, unless one of us is away. That works extremely well. We only one of us handles the offer from start to finish. This is all in our marketing plan, so I explain it all to clients. Only one of us handles the offer from start to finish because it enables you to build rapport with the buyer and create trust. So it never gets handled by 99.9% of the time. It never gets handled by more than one person from start to finish. Whatever the offer comes in at, we say to the buyer, thanks for the offer. We either say that level's been tested by another buyer or it's only on the market 3 weeks. What do you think your second offer will be? Because we think that offer is likely to be rejected by the seller. So we're trying to work the buyer up on the first telephone call, and 9 times out of 10, they give away their next move or they even increase before you've taken the first offer to the seller. So I always say to a seller, other agents won't do that. And on the stuff we sell, that could be 10, 20 grand in one telephone call, tax-free cash to you. So we always ask that question. We never give away to a buyer whether it's a good offer or not, obviously. I don't want to give them any hope that their offer is going to be accepted. So I don't ask for anything in writing at the start. I just do it all verbally initially.
Right.
Obviously, we then follow up in writing because we have to do that legally to confirm that we've received their offer and it's been rejected or accepted. And then we push them as far as we can push them before we think they're going to walk away to A, test that that we're getting the most out of them, and B, to test their commitment. So we don't want a buyer that's just flinging an offer in, doesn't really give a shit, and they're going to go and buy something else. We want a buyer that's committed, so we want to push to get as much money out of them as we can. And then finally, when we've done when we agreed the price, we get the buyer to confirm in writing that they won't renegotiate after survey or mortgage valuation. So
yeah, powerful ways.
Surveyors do my head in. I was going to be rude then. I won't be rude on this occasion. So mortgage valuation surveyors do my head in because one surveyor can say something completely different to another surveyor on the same house weeks apart. I've had ones in the past where it's been 100 grand swing in the valuation, in inverted commas, by the mortgage valuation surveyor. And I think, that's your opinion. It's a subjective point, and we're not going to renegotiate based on what your mortgage lender says. Now, obviously, most buyers are okay with that. You get the odd one who isn't, but especially at the higher level, buyers are more savvy. They're business people or they're high level professionals, and they understand it's just a lender's opinion, and we all know what we think of lenders. So we don't take that into account. Dave, before you start speaking, on the survey points, we say to people, look, you're buying what you can see here. Unless it's full of damp and got subsidence, there's no reason for you to renegotiate. Your survey will come back and will say things, because every survey does, but really it's a list of maintenance issues for you. It's not a reason to renegotiate. And that's quite powerful.
Wants, not needs. I was just going to ask, do you get any resistance on the clause that you insert into the memorandum of sale, etc., about we will not renegotiate after survey?
Well, we do it before it goes to memo. So when we've agreed the figure, we send them an email to say we've agreed X in principle. Please confirm you understand that this offer is accepted on the basis of no further negotiation after survey or mortgage valuation. Please reply to this email. We'll then do proof of funds.
Yeah, okay.
Now, yes, of course, the odd one, you get pushback. And most people understand, that they're buying a house. It's an older house quite often, or it's character house, or even if it's a newer house. I've sold red rows that are 3 years old where the survey throws up points. It's not a reason to renegotiate with me. I think I'm saving, I'm essentially saving my clients there 10 grand, 20 grand. Of course, it isn't a perfect science. Sometimes 8 weeks down the line, people try and renegotiate. Of course, you can't prevent it always, but it definitely sets the tone from the start of the relationship.
Yeah, good idea.
Example, had a guy last night, they're buying one off us for cash at 600. They're giving us theirs to sell at $1 million. They don't need to sell to buy. They're going ahead and buying it. They had the survey done, and he's emailed me last night, the client, lovely guy, and he's emailed me to say, we remember you saying in your marketing plan that you don't renegotiate, but this issue's come up on survey. What do you think I should do? So I thought, right, that's good. No, we're not going to renegotiate.
Nothing is all we're going to do.
Yeah, it's a good
Yeah,
talk.
because it's $4,000 job. It's not a reason to not buy a $600,000 house.
Yeah,
And that's just going back to as well the difference between a good, great, and a crap agent. Like when you've done viewings and you've got a sale going through, and someone sends through a home buyer survey and it says electrics and gas both free, and weak agents will go, I think you need to get an electric and gas survey on your house for the buyer. Like, no, you don't. If the buyer wants to get a gas and electric survey on a property, then crack on. Like, that's a conversation that can be had. But at the same time, nah. But there's loads of things that come up. Like, so-and-so might need doing in about 3 weeks. Like, but potential. There's honestly so much guff that comes in surveys.
Do all your surveyors sound like that?
They do, yeah. Part of the country.
I mean, home buyers surveys are just so beyond frustrating, aren't they? With the arse covering by surveyors, 100%. Make sure you get this checked done, make sure you get that checked done, make sure you get red flag, the guttering's leaking, red flag. I think this is not
no visible issues were found. However, it should not be ignored that the house could fall down and kill you and your family.
We could not get access to the loft, therefore. And so for me, I want to be firm and I want to protect my clients. But equally, we want to be fair with buyers. If there's some major issue, then of course that's a different thing, isn't it? But little bits of maintenance.
It's his character. What are you on about? Character cracks.
Or the black mold. No,
anyway, I digress. So have we covered everything off there on viewing?
I think so.
Negotiation?
I think so. And
there's loads you could talk about it all day, couldn't you? There's your techniques, etc. But there's loads to cover on it. But yeah, I think we've
got 2 Q&A questions to go through really quickly. One is from Danny Macklin, who says, what's the best tip you would give someone entering the middle range of the market? Listen to this podcast. There you go. Should we move on?
Listen to the entire series so far. Be consistent with everything that you do. Make sure that your marketing stands out on every single property you put on, and be selective with what you sell.
Yeah, that very key point. That be selective with what you sell, because you need to become known for a certain type of property, and you'll have to make some tough decisions from day one. Walk away from a few, lose a few, etc. But definitely start from scratch. Make sure you look like what you want to attract. That would be my biggest tip. And be consistent.
Stand there and look like a house. So you would look like
you know what I mean. Make sure your business looks like what you want to attract.
Yeah.
Don't list a load of 2-bed terraces if you want to attract 5-bedroom executive detached homes. It's just not going to work.
No, I mean, I don't know how many times you've said this, but just do the same thing on every house, because other agents do not. None of them do.
And also have an honest conversation with yourself. Go right back to the beginning of our podcast series. And if your current brand is not up to scratch, but it's a nice brand and it's doing well mid-range, that's great. You can keep it. Rebrand. Do a rebrand elsewhere.
Yeah.
And start again with your mid to higher end brand, and don't look at it and think it's going to take me such a long time to build this. If you do things correctly, as we've all shown, you can do it quite quick.
And another one from Mandy Baker. How do you all manage your WhatsApp messages? I love my vendor groups and my clients do too, but started on my personal WhatsApp and my mobile number, and now I need my team to help with communications. Struggling to understand WhatsApp business too. Can I have a dual SIM and then have 2 numbers? Also, has anyone got a developer or API person who can link WhatsApp messaging to Street?
So there is a developer that links WhatsApp to Street. I spoke to Street about that. You can't link Street to groups though, sadly.
No.
Yet it's only to individual people, so that doesn't massively help us. But I'm sure it's something that'll come in time.
Why would you need to though? I don't understand why we would need
because the majority of the WhatsApping we do in the office every day is on groups with clients.
But why would you need it in Street though? That's what I don't understand.
Well, because you could send because it would link, couldn't it? You could send it through Street. You could WhatsApp through Street instead of having to go to the WhatsApp screen.
I don't think I think what you said the other day to somebody else, Ian's a good answer about WhatsApp business and getting your team involved. having a separate mobile for everyone and using
Yeah.
WhatsApp Business. Invest in a business mobile. We've done this in our own office.
Yeah, it's cheap. It's not a lot of money.
We actually bought the phones secondhand. So we bought refurbished iPhone 11s, I think they were. They were about 200 quid each, 250 quid each.
Good, yeah.
I bought 4 phones, and I got SIM only share. So I've got a data plan with EE. Sorry, data plan. I've got a phone plan with EE, and my phone plan is like £72 a month because I've got like the top iPhone or whatever. But you can get what's called a data SIM sharer, and they're about £10 a month, and they can just share all the allowances on your account. So then you've got everyone else using £10 a month SIMs that use your data, because the data they use is very, very minimal. But then they just have their own WhatsApp business phones, and it just stops things like accidental memes being shared in the wrong groups. And if clients want to get hold of people, then they get hold of them on their business mobile. And if someone leaves, then there isn't all that issue. Sorry, mate, go on.
No, that's right. Yeah, it needs to be separate on a business mobile, definitely. So we just go back to what Mandy said. You'll find, Mandy, that WhatsApp Business is the same as WhatsApp. You just have to transfer it over. It's dead easy. I don't see any real day-to-day difference at all with WhatsApp Business versus WhatsApp. The good thing on WhatsApp Business is that you can set an out of office. So when I go away, like I'm going away next week with the kids for Easter, so I'll set an out of office to say that I'm away. So there's things like that are good on WhatsApp Business. The team in the office have WhatsApp web WhatsApp, is it called, on there as a browser on Chrome. So they use it like they use Outlook. They use it like they use email, really. You can mark them as unread. You can pin 3 chats to the top, things you don't want to forget about. And we all sort of know in the office who needs to respond to what. So I hope that helps. But I think it's probably a question of sucking and seeing, really. But you definitely need to have all your team on their own separate individual business WhatsApps.
Create groups for buyers as well if you're not doing that already.
Yeah.
So you say clients, get buyer groups going as well, because it's just phenomenal the amount of wasted phone calls that you cut down on.
Yeah, massively. And the rapport build. We have people now who bought office 2 or 3 years ago. We'll drive past the house and we'll see they put a new porch on, and most people never leave the group. So you can put a message on 3 years later. Hi, John, I can see you put a new porch on. Doesn't it look lovely? And that if you keep dropping in things like that over the years, when John comes to sell in 5 years' time, he'll only ring. Well, he'll definitely give you consideration.
Yeah, 100%. Anything else for anyone to add? I think we've covered off quite a lot as usual.
No, I'm still going to hold the microphone out.
No, it's good. Well, it's good to be back, lads. Nice to chat and catch up as we do every week. We will be back next week.
Yeah. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.